Okay, this video presents the mathematical solution for the draining of a tapered tank. This problem has been floating around the internet for quite some time, as far as I can tell without a solid solution. This problem probably goes quite a bit beyond my introductory fluid mechanics course, but it captured my interest, so I thought I'd have a go. Two open-top tanks with the same volume of water drained by gravity. The two tanks are identical except for the direction of taper. And the question is, which tank drains first, or do they drain at the same rate? In this video, I'm going to show you the answer, and I'm going to set up the differential equation and derive the solution. This is my own derivation. I'm guessing that it's in a textbook or solutions manual somewhere, but if it is, I haven't seen it. I don't normally start with the final equation, but I would like to show up front how good this solution is, so hopefully you'll stick around for some of the mathematics. So this is the solution, which I'm going to call equation 1. This is the predicted time t for the liquid level to fall from an initial level capital H to a lower level lowercase h. If you set lowercase h to 0, you get the time for the tank to drain fully. The sketch here shows the problem parameters. R0 is the radius of the outlet hole. R bot is the radius of the bottom of the tank. R top is the radius of the top of the tank. And in equation 1, CD is the discharge coefficient, which accounts for viscous losses. I'll talk more about that later in the presentation. In equation 1, beta here is the amount of taper. As you can see here, it's the change in the tank radius with height. So beta will be positive for a tank that gets wider toward the top, and negative when the tank gets smaller toward the top. As you may have seen in a previous video, to get some experimental results, I've 3D printed two tanks from PLA. The tanks are the same height, 15 centimeters. They have the same volume but taper in opposite directions. Tank A has a negative taper of beta equals minus 0.5, meaning that the radius of the tank gets smaller by half a meter per meter of height, while tank B has a taper of beta equals positive 0.5. I'll show these calculations later in the presentation. In a previous video, I measured the time for these two tanks to drain completely. But for this video, I want to show the more detailed performance. So I've set up each tank with a ruler and filmed the draining process. From the timestamps on the video, I've measured the liquid level as a function of time, which I've compared to equation 1, the analytical solution. And these are the results. This graph shows the instantaneous water level on the vertical axis, starting at 15 centimeters, and time on the horizontal axis. The dashed lines are the predicted liquid levels from equation 1, and the symbols are my measurements taken from the videos. I've used triangles pointing up for tank A and triangles pointing down for tank B. And these are the videos which you may have already seen, which I used to get the measurements. Recall that the instantaneous discharge flow rate is only a function of the height of the liquid. So at time 0, when I pull both plugs, the tanks have the same high discharge rate. But as the liquid levels fall, the discharge rate gets lower and lower. At the start, tank A seems to be winning, but this is only because of the low volume in the top section of tank A. It empties very quickly. And the resulting lower liquid level means that it actually has a lower discharge rate than tank B most of the time, until the crossover point that happens at about 26 seconds. So tank B drains first in about 28 seconds. Meanwhile, tank A has a large volume to discharge in its bottom region, and the discharge flow rate is low in this region because of the low liquid level. So tank A takes twice as long to drain, about 57 seconds. And of course, this was by design. I used equation 1 to design the 3D printed tanks so that tank B would drain twice as fast. As you can see, equation 1 agrees reasonably well with my measurements, which I must admit were fairly crude, but overall the measurements validate equation 1. Okay, so let's move on to the calculus. If you want to skip the math, I recommend jumping to the end chapter where I discuss the solution and some of its limitations. Okay, onward. As we discussed in a previous video, the average discharge velocity at the bottom of the tank, V0, is given by Torricelli's law. We derived this expression from Bernoulli's equation, so using inviscid flow theory, where CD is the discharge coefficient. CD equals 1 corresponds to ideal frictionless flow. We also showed that a constant discharge coefficient can be an effective way to account for viscous losses. Although CD is actually a function of Reynolds number, a constant works surprisingly well. I'll put a link to that previous video in the description. Oh, as a side comment, some smart commenters have pointed out that a draining tank involves the conversion of gravitational potential energy into kinetic energy. So in a head-to-head race, the tank with the highest center of gravity, in other words, the tank with the most potential energy, will drain the fastest. I think that's a sound physical argument, but even so, that only tells you which one wins, but not by how much. In contrast, the current analysis lets you predict the draining rate from each tank. Okay, so moving on. The mass flow rate from the bottom of the tank is going to be the density times the volume flow rate. So rho V0 times A0, where A0 is the area of the outlet hole, pi R0 squared. We can make the substitution for V0, and we get that the mass flow rate from the bottom of the tank is rho CD square root of 2gh, and then the outlet area of the hole. Next, we apply the continuity equation to the control volume, and the control volume surrounds the entire tank. The rate of change of mass inside the control volume is equal to the rate of mass flow in, summed over all the inlets, minus the rate of mass flow out, summed over all the outlets. But in the current problem, we have no mass flowing in, so this term is 0, and we only have one outlet mass flow rate given here. So making that substitution, we get the rate of change of mass in the control volume equals minus the mass flow rate at the outlet hole. Now making the substitution for m dot at the outlet hole, we get the rate of change of mass in the control volume equals rho CD square root of 2gh, and then the area of the outlet hole. Now we have the beginnings of a differential equation. Next, we consider the left-hand side of our equation, which is the rate of change of mass inside the control volume. Of course, mass is equal to density times volume, and our flow is incompressible, it's water, so density is a constant, so we can move density outside of the derivative. Now, let's consider dV here. In an increment of time, the liquid level falls by a distance dH. So the incremental change in volume is the area of this blue disk here, which is the area of the free surface times dH. So making that substitution that dV equals ADH, we get that the rate of change of mass in the control volume is the density times the area times the rate of change of height of the free surface with time. Notice the area here is the local area of the free surface, so pi r squared. Now making those substitutions, we get that rho pi r squared dH dt equals minus rho, our discharge coefficient, times the square root of 2gh, and then the outlet area. Now we can simplify this. The pi's cancel and the rho's cancel. I've done a little simplification. We get that dH by dt equals minus the radius of the outlet hole squared divided by the local radius of the free surface squared, CD, and the square root of 2gh. Notice that we have this negative sign because the fluid height h is decreasing with time. We expect dH dt to be negative. So this is our differential equation for how the liquid level changes with time. We're almost there. We must make one final substitution, noting that the radius of the liquid surface changes linearly with height. R equals R bot times the change in radius per unit height times h. Now we can check this expression. If we put h equals 0 here, we recover our bot, which is correct. And if we put h equals capital H, we get our top, which is correct. Now to simplify our final expression, I've renamed this coefficient here beta. Beta equals r top minus r bot divided by h. This is our taper parameter. So next I've substituted our linear expression for radius into our differential equation, and we get this expression. Next, I've just expanded the square in the denominator. You can check my algebra. So that's the final form of the differential equation for the variation of liquid height with time. From here, the solution is basic calculus, so I'll go over it quite quickly. This differential equation happens to be easy to solve because it's separable. I'm going to introduce a vertical coordinate z, and the instantaneous water level, which is what we're after, corresponds to z equals h of t. So here I've separated the variables. I've put time on the left-hand side and the terms involving z on the right-hand side. I've also collected the constants out front. Please check my algebra. I'm integrating both sides. The limits of integration are from 0 to t, and on the right-hand side at time 0, we have a water level of capital H, and at time t, we're looking for the level of the water, h of t. Integrating, we get this expression. You can check my basic calculus. Next, all we have to do is apply the limits of integration, and this is what we get. Notice the negative sign. So we get three terms, each involving capital H to some power minus lowercase h to the same power. And this is our final equation. This is equation 1 that I showed you at the beginning. Now if we set h equal to 0 in this equation, we get the time for the tank to completely drain. I'm going to call that t naught. This is equation 2. Now we can evaluate these equations for my 3D printed tanks. So this is tank A, the losing tank with the larger bottom. It has a height of 15 centimeters. The radius of the bottom of the tank is 10 centimeters. The radius of the top of the tank is 2.5 centimeters. And both tanks have an outlet hole with a radius of 4.5 millimeters. Here I've calculated the taper parameter for tank A, so the difference in the top and bottom radius divided by the height, and we get a taper parameter of minus 0.5. So now making these substitutions back into equation 2, we get the time for the tank to completely drain of 52.9 seconds. Notice that I've used a discharge coefficient of 1.0 here, which corresponds to inviscid flow. So this is the time for tank A to drain if it had a fluid with no viscosity. We saw at the beginning of the video that the actual time for the tank to drain with water was 57 seconds. We can use these two times to estimate the average discharge coefficient. The average discharge coefficient is the time to totally drain for the inviscid fluid over the time to totally drain with our real fluid, water. So 52.9 seconds divided by 57 seconds. And that gives an average discharge coefficient of 0.93. This means that on average, viscous losses are reducing the flow rate by about 7%. So viscous losses are quite small for water. Water has a low viscosity. Also, I've rounded the outlet hole as part of the 3D printing process, so the minor loss coefficient at the outlet is low. Now we can do the same thing for tank B, the winning tank. It tapers in the opposite direction. It has a taper parameter beta equal to positive 0.5. Again, making all the substitutions, we get that the time for the tank to drain with an inviscid fluid is 25.9 seconds. We saw from the video earlier that the actual time for tank B to drain is 28 seconds. So again, we can use this time ratio, the time ratio of the inviscid fluid to the real fluid, to get a discharge coefficient, which works out to be 0.92. And these are the results I showed at the beginning, the comparison of our current mathematical model, equation 1, with the experimental results that I obtained from the videos. I've used the discharge coefficients 0.92 and 0.93 that we just estimated from the measured drain times. And as a bonus, I've added the theoretical curve for the untapered tank with the same height and volume. I know from the comments in the previous video that some people wanted to see this result as a control. As one would expect, an untapered tank has a drain time in between the tanks with positive and negative tapers. Like one does with a good journal paper, I thought I should discuss the limitations, at least briefly. This model is based on Torricelli's law and the quasi-steady flow assumption, so we're neglecting kinetic energy at the free surface and all fluid inertial effects like sloshing. That's generally a good approximation provided the outlet hole area is small relative to the cross-sectional area of the tank, which is certainly the case in the current demonstration. Also, this experiment was done with water, which has low viscosity, so we have relatively low viscous losses as indicated by the high discharge coefficients. If you redid this experiment with honey, I don't think you'd get such close agreement. I should also mention that this model isn't really valid for very low values of H. Once the discharge hole is not fully covered with liquid, the flow gets more complex, and our model ignores this complexity. As a final comment, I must admit that this was only a crude demonstration done quite quickly. It was done with my cell phone and a ruler. It wasn't a precise lab experiment. One problem that I had was that the 3D printing plastic PLA is not very translucent. So even with very bright lights, it was sometimes difficult to accurately locate the water line. So there are probably large error bars on the free surface location. But nevertheless, I think these results are good enough to provide some confidence in the solution. This engineering model clearly captures the main physics. And that completes this presentation.